Wu took the hammer from his hands. Before departure, most of the students had nothing to hide, but a few tried their luck at smuggling things out. However, one teacher's martial soul was his eyes, and with his soul skills, he could see through every kind of deception the students tried. Everyone started implementing their plans. Li Ji set up a stall and started selling buns. A senior asked him why he was selling buns there. Li Ji replied that he had no other choice and needed to make some money for the semester's final exam. He offered the senior to buy some buns, mentioning they were cheap and delicious. The senior declined, stating he hadn't any use for the buns as they only lasted a day. He then wished Li Ji good luck and left for class. But Gu Yue and Xinglan were blocking the way. They claimed that the territory was theirs and told everyone that if anyone wanted to pass, they must pay a toll of 100,000 federal credits. They promised to pay them back twice as much after the exam. A senior asked what they would do if they didn't lend them money. They told him that they didn't have to pay if they could beat them. The senior told them that he wouldn't fall into their trap. Xinglan told him not to be mad because there were many people there, so it was fine if he was afraid of losing. This statement infuriated him, and he accepted their challenge. Li Ji, seeing the opportunity, stopped him and mentioned that his buns could boost his strength. He explained that his bloodthirst bean bun was very potent and could boost his strength in a short time, while his agility soup bun could help him lose weight and fly. He asked if he wanted to try them. He agreed, saying he would give it a try, and asked for a bean bun and a soup bun, inquiring about their prices. Li Ji informed him that the bean bun cost 30,000 and the soup bun cost 10,000. He became enraged at the price and questioned why it was so expensive. Li Ji defended the price, stating that he would get what he paid for. He reluctantly agreed, saying he believed in him. After a while, the senior lost miserably and gave them the 100,000. Xinglan asked him for his name and class so that she could pay him back. He told her that his name was Xia Yuekong and he was in the 2nd grade, then ran off. Xinglan told Li Ji that because he had managed to sell his buns because of them, he would be responsible for 1/3 of the debt. He agreed. At the Blacksmiths Association of Shrek City, Wu Lin was talking to Shi about how harsh the rules for the exam were. She explained that there was no other way, as the academy had already contacted them and every other association in the city, forbidding them all from earning money at the association. She mentioned that they would have to think of another way to make money. Wu Lin pondered what else he could do, realizing he had no money to take the Soul Train, and without that, he couldn't pass the exam. Suddenly, he had an idea, and then left running. Wu Lin arrived at the Soul Train station. The tickets were about to be checked. He got in line. The ticket checker asked for his ticket. He shouted "Snake and Gold Song." Security gathered around it. Everyone was focused on the snake. This gave Wu Lin the chance, and he sneaked onto the train. The Soul Train rapidly picked up speed until it reached a high-speed cruise. The train, heading for Heaven Dao City, filled up. Wu Lin found himself in the dining car along with around a dozen other people. He soon realized that he had made a mistake because he was getting hungry. He thought about the injustices the academy was doing, but there was nothing he could do. Then a ticket checker arrived. Wu Lin panicked and said he didn't have a ticket. The ticket checker told him to buy one immediately. He explained that he didn't have any money either. The ticket checker admonished him for not buying a ticket on the train and called it bad behavior. He apologized and asked to wait until he arrived in Heaven Dao City, where he could get money to pay. The ticket checker then told him to come along. In the conductor's room, the ticket checker reported to the conductor that he was a stowaway without money for a ticket, and asked what should be done with him. The conductor asked him about his situation. He revealed that he was a student from Shrek Academy. Both were surprised. He explained that he was in the middle of an exam and all his possessions had been confiscated by the academy before he was sent out. He didn't have money to buy a ticket and had to sneak on the train as part of his exam requirement to reach Bright City. He admitted his wrongdoing and requested that some attendants escort him to get money to pay once they arrived in Heaven Dao City. The ticket checker accused him of lying, but he insisted that he wasn't lying and that he really was a Shrek Academy student, offering to prove it immediately. He showed them that he was a 3-ringed soul master, and they finally believed him. Wu Lin explained that Shrek Academy was very strict, requiring everyone in his grade to visit 10 cities within 15 days. They also had to defeat a soul master and challenge those ranked above them. After all that, they still needed to return to Shrek Academy within the exam period to pass. The conductor, surprised by this, asked how old he was and expressed disbelief that they would send a boy out alone. She found it terrible and asked how they could help him, offering to excuse him from paying for a ticket using her authority. He thanked her and mentioned that he needed to visit more cities and challenge some people. He asked if there were any places in Heaven Dao City where lots of soul masters gathered, and if he could borrow some money because he was hungry, promising to pay her back once he returned to Shrek Academy. The conductor reassured him that she would help. While she couldn't find opponents for him, she knew that the security captains at train stations were all soul masters with mechas. Wu Lin asked her to help him connect with the security captain at Heavendew City's train station so he could fight them. The conductor told the ticket checker to get some food for Wu Lin. She told him that she would find a way to help him. He thanked her. The conductor told Wu Lin that arrangements had already been made. The security captain at Heavendew City's train station would be waiting for him. After he finished his battle, the conductor would help him get a monthly train pass, which would allow him to ride any train on the continent. The conductor also gave him some money to use for food during his journey. Wu Lin thought about how kind she was. Then suddenly a call was made to the conductor. She was told to come to the 5th carriage immediately because terrorists had hijacked it. A few months prior, another hijacking occurred in the western part of the continent. That incident resulted in the train exploding. Over 500 casualties had been recorded. It was a tragedy that rocked the entire continent. The conductor informed all the train attendants that there was an emergency. She told them if they had a weapon, they should head to the 5th carriage without alarming the passengers. She told Wu Lin not to go to the 5th carriage, but Wu Lin insisted on going with her. She didn't want him coming with her because he was a child, and she thought he could get hurt. Wu Lin reminded her that he was a Shrek Academy student and a 3-ringed soul elder. She didn't want to put him in danger, so she told him to stay there and left. She was almost there when she asked about the situation. She was informed that there were a total of 9 terrorists who somehow managed to smuggle beam guns onto the train. All of them were armed with beam assault rifles and one had a soul cannon. They had already planted soul bombs all over the carriage. It could blow up at any moment. The conductor was angry because the safety screenings failed to stop them. She told the informer to tell the operators after she entered the 5th carriage, they should immediately cut off the 6th to 16th carriages. She was nervous. She said sorry to her mother while taking a look at a photo of her baby. She was ready to sacrifice herself. Moving ahead, she saw 2 security guards and asked about the situation. One of the guards informed her that it wasn't good. The terrorists had taken passengers as hostages, installed bombs all over the train, and started a countdown. She thought that the carriages in the front were probably under the complete control of the terrorists. Despite the terrifying situation, she knew she had to remain calm. She told the hostages not to act impulsively and address the terrorists, asking if they had any demands and suggesting they negotiate, promising to do her best to fulfill them without harming the hostages. From behind the door, one terrorist recognized her as the conductor and stated their simple demand: to tell the federal government to safely release the people arrested 20 days ago in exchange for the hostages. He warned that the first 5 carriages were rigged with bombs set to detonate in 30 minutes and threatened that if the demands weren't met, everyone would be buried together. She asked the security captain if headquarters had been informed of the demands. The security captain replied that a message had been sent, but headquarters needed to consult the higher-ups, making it impossible to fulfill the demands in half an hour. She instructed the security captain to have the crew withdraw to the 6th carriage and pleaded with the terrorists not to act impulsively, explaining that they were working on fulfilling the demands but needed more time. She begged for an extension on the bomb timer, promising to mediate and secure their demands while ensuring the hostages' safety. A terrorist questioned her sincerity, suspecting she might be stalling for time. She identified herself as Mo Lan, the train's conductor, an ordinary person without any soul power, and revealed that her father was the administrator of Heavendew City, Mo Wu. She argued that she was a more valuable hostage than the ordinary people, and requested the release of all the elderly, women, and children, offering herself in their place. A terrorist confirmed her identity and agreed to release all the elderly, women, and children. The terrorists came out to take her as a hostage, but then Wu Lin appeared. She was surprised to see him. The terrorists thought that he was her nephew, but she told them that he was her cousin. Then suddenly, the terrorist heard a noise. The 6th carriage had detached from the 5th. Mo told the terrorist to calm down, stating that she was their hostage now and asked what they had to be afraid of. She explained that protocol dictated that they disconnect the carriages to minimize the losses, questioning if they did not understand this. One of the terrorists agreed with his teammates, laughing and acknowledging that Mo Lan was right. He asserted that they had a lot of leverage and nothing to be afraid of. However, he declared that from that moment on, he would execute 10 hostages every 5 minutes. A terrorist took Wu Lin with him to the front of the carriage. Wu Lin winked at Mo, signaling to her that he had a plan. He thought that from what he had seen so far, only the leader of the terrorists was a soul master. The leader had the detonator for the bombs in his possession. Besides that, there was a terrorist armed with a soul cannon standing in the corner of the 5th carriage. Wu Lin needed to figure out the specific situations in the other carriages. The terrorist kicked Wu Lin because he wasn't going fast enough. Wulin was shocked because he spotted blood on the floor. A man came out of the carriage and confronted the terrorist, questioning what he was doing to Wulin, pointing out that he was just a kid. Wulin informed the man that he saw a lot of blood over there. The man explained that apart from the elderly women and children who were released, the rest were in this carriage and up ahead. He mentioned that some people suffered injuries while trying to fight, but it was not too serious. Wulin realized that 6 of the terrorists were gathered in the 5th carriage, and 3 in the 4th carriage, making a total of 9. The first 3 carriages were now empty, and all the terrorists and hostages were in the 4th and 5th carriages. There were still 40 minutes left on the clock before all of the bombs detonated. All of the terrorists were armed with soul weapons, including a soul cannon. One of them was a soul master, possibly a soul elder. He had completely grasped the situation. It was time for him to put his plan into action. He used the blue, silver, and playing Sturkis to attack 3 terrorists, and he used his golden dragon claw to deactivate one of the bombs. Another terrorist arrived and was shocked to see 3 of his teammates on the ground. Before he could inform anyone, Wulin knocked him out. Wulin needed to detach the 5th carriage from the 4th to make sure the hostages were safe. He was spotted by a terrorist with a gun. He shot at him, but he stopped his bullets using his golden dragon claw. He threw the terrorist out of the train. There were only 2 terrorists left and one had Mo with him. He charged towards them. The leader told the other terrorist to use the cannon on him. Wulin used Goldsong, wrapped him around the cannon, and defeated the terrorist. The leader warned him not to move or else he would kill Mo. Mo told him not to worry about her and save the others. The carriage had begun decelerating, which meant that it had been detached from the rest of the train. The terrorist was out of options, so he decided to detonate the bombs and take the 2 with him. Wulin used his purple demon eyes and stopped him. Mo took the controller from his hands, and Wulin grabbed him by his neck, but then Mo spotted a terrorist in a group of hostages. He was about to shoot Wulin. She jumped in to save him, but she got hit. Wulin was devastated. After all of that was over, they were taken by Mikas. Wulin didn't expect there to be a 10th terrorist. The 10th terrorist had been hiding among the hostages. Fortunately for Mo, she had only been wounded in her shoulder. 12 yellow-grade mechas participated in the rescue operation. However, they had never expected the situation to be already resolved when they arrived. After that hijacking, tales of Mo's fearless acts spread like wildfire throughout Heavendao City. As for Wulin, his actions to save everyone instantly elevated him to hero status. When Wulin overheard that the city officials wanted to award him with a Medal of Honor, he quietly slipped away from the train station. Wulin couldn't afford to waste his time. Who knew how long and tedious the award ceremony would be? Mo was now in serious condition. He couldn't let her help him find an opponent in Heavendao City either. He really couldn't count on anything going according to plan. He should better go to the local Blacksmiths Association branch first. 20,000 credits received from Mo were enough to sustain him for a day or 2. There should be no problem with transportation costs. But it did not include the cost of the meal, and Wulin was hungry. After careful consideration, he decided to spend his money on food. At the Heavendao Seoul train station, Mo's father was angry at the people in charge of Wulin because they had let him escape.